Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming back and checking out another episode of Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast. This week on episode, who knows, man? I really don't even know anymore. Either way, I'm joined with my brother, Adam. I was trying to get him to come out last week, and it just didn't work. I really wanted to talk to him about this trail camera ban out in Kansas and just, pick his brain, because I thought he was pretty opinionated about the whole thing, and I was right. So we had a really good conversation about that. But I feel like Adam really unloaded on us in the very beginning and had some stuff he wanted to get off his chest. So bear with us as we talk about some personal stuff in the beginning and work our way into hunting related topics. But I thought it was a pretty good podcast. I like throwing stuff at Adam. Questions that really make him think a little bit, considering he is still a really new hunter. And I do like hearing his perspective on a lot of things and things that maybe we take for granted as people who've hunted for a lot longer. And so I really appreciate that part of bouncing things off him. So anyway, thanks again for everybody that listens and shares and interacts with us. We do appreciate it. Enjoy this episode. This episode is brought to you by Beefcakes. Beefcakes is not your traditional gym. If you want to lay down between bench presses, go ahead. You want to pee outside? That's fine. Just be mindful of my neighbors. Do you want to not clean up your dumbbells when you're done with them? Go right ahead. Just be prepared for some ridicule. Do you want a chocolate fountain? Do you want a nacho bar? Perhaps you'd like to sit down on one of our fine leather couches and play NHL 22 on the Xbox. Cool. That's great. If you're tired of a traditional big box gym and you still want to get that pump but maybe have a snack, Beefcakes is the gym for you. Come see us today at Beefcakes.
Oh, hello there. I'm Les Washington, owner, operator of Les Laundry. Is your apron covered in Hooters wing batter? Are your New Balance sneakers green with grass stains? Ladies, single fathers, are you currently regretting your decision to use reusable diapers? Probably. Well, we can help. Our full-service laundromat uses the finest organic soaps and only water run through our reverse osmosis filter. We're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. If you're feeling overwhelmed, bring in your mess for less. Less Laundry.
Welcome to another episode of Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast. This is episode 7, and I am joined, of course, with my brother Adam.
Yeah, what'd we decide today? It's Bulky Bartakamus.
Bulky Bartakamus. Bulky, that's Adam's nickname.
That's how I feel, so I just want to go into something personal to start this off. I feel that in my life, my body, my age, my growth, my physicality, there is I'm very conscious what my body is saying to me. It's just that I don't necessarily always listen.
Do you always agree with it, though?
I do agree with I think my body cannot be wrong. It is telling me exactly what it wants me to know. Whether I listen or not is up to me. And I feel that you get to certain points in life. I'm getting to certain points where you reach a threshold. And I have recently reached a threshold to where, actually I've reached 2. One is just an age threshold. So I'm about to be 39. So I've reached a threshold there where my body's saying, my body is not saying, let's go. It's saying, hold up.
Was that a Christina Aguilera reference? A lot of people won't get that, but that was a genie in a bottle reference.
So the second threshold that I've reached is I believe that I have, without using scales, and not scales from a fish, scales that sit on a bathroom floor that weigh you. I don't do that. Mostly because I already know. I already know that it's not great. So I think that I've always wondered, I think I've reached a new threshold to where I've crossed over a couple extra pounds and gotten to a point now to where my body is saying, this is what it's going to feel like if you want to weigh this much. So you can either listen to me and lose fucking weight ASAP and it'll go away, or you can keep putting a couple pounds on a year and then in the next few years be dead.
That is a real Sophie's choice.
Yeah, so I just think it's I'm just noticing that there's thresholds, and I can tell I've jumped across this new threshold into a new probably. Let's just say I was probably 245 pounds, and now I'm probably 252 pounds.
So you say jumped across the threshold. Did
Crawled.
you jump?
It wasn't. Let's just say no, because it wasn't hard to do.
I've seen you cross a log before, and there was no jumping.
I'm actually quite agile.
You are shockingly
for
agile.
a thick boy.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
I don't think I jumped. I think it was very easy to just mosey over these
you
thresholds.
skedaddled on over to the
Yeah.
threshold. I did too, man.
I think, and then every winter, I'm noticing like I am like a bear. So, I mean, technically, I would be considered a bear. I would imagine
in
the
that
gay
community,
community.
yes. Mm-hmm.
I think every winter, I get to it's like it's like a yo-yo where you drop it like you don't drop it like it's you add a couple pounds and instead and then you drop them off in the summer, but every year there's like a couple that don't go, so that it's just like they are continuously adding on every year. It's like an accumulation of girth, and I've reached that threshold to where my body's like, my lower back is like, hey, I'm super tight because you're on your feet moving all day long, and I'm carrying this lard ass shit. So fix it.
Do you know what 75 hard is?
Yeah.
You ever thought about it?
No,
You thinking about it right now?
I'm thinking about how I couldn't do that.
Why?
Because for me, it's all about what I'm eating.
Right.
75 hard is like read a book, go for a walk, go for a run, don't drink, don't go, all this shit. Like it's like a whole long list where you could cut everything out. If I fix what I eat, I will lose weight.
It's a mental challenge. I hear what you're saying. 75 hard is a
It's hard.
It is a change your life via your mentality about how you think about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I am too chicken shit to do it. I've talked about it.
Is it 75 days?
It's 75 days. It is a 45-minute workout with,
So
exercise.
Like 2.5 months.
And then it's a 45-minute workout outside. No matter what.
That's it?
And a gallon of water a day.
Which I do. 10
10 pages of a book. And you got to follow a diet.
Well, I don't believe in diets. And here's why. Don't interrupt me right now. Stop talking. A diet to me is every day. Like a diet is not a diet is not a new thing. A diet is what I live with. So like right now I'm on a diet and it's called what I put in my mouth every day. That's my diet. Everybody has a diet because a diet is a diet. A diet is not a...
You just told me what you put in your mouth is the problem.
Correct. And that's just my life. So you can call like this new thing like, oh, I'm not going to eat carbs.
Yeah, but
a diet.
So you have options.
You
have
need to change your
portion
lifestyle.
controls. There's no cheat meals. There's no alcohol. So anyway, all I'm saying is I would be willing to do 75 hard with you if you're willing to do it with me.
I just don't like... All you have to do in there to like entice me is like...
You said this the other day. If you call me fat enough, I'll stop eating for a year. Those were your exact words.
When I called you fat?
No, you just said if someone told me I was fat enough, I would not eat for a whole year.
Because I think I called you a fat fuck.
Maybe.
You were like, I need accountability or I'm trying to be good in the gym. And I was like, fat fuck? And I was like, every time, I've always grown up with people saying like, oh, what did Chuck say to me this year in the chili cook-off? He's like, well, you've been eating well. So you get enough of those comments that I guess that doesn't really work for me. So maybe I'm wrong. But like you could entice me with that and like, no offense. I hope you all pictured a person.
Nobody's going to get that either.
I can't say no offense anymore without picturing a person. Not like no offense. It's no offense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. Had to get that off my chest. You rudely interrupted me, and I interrupted myself.
Yeah.
Uh,
Listen, man, all I'm saying is I'll do it with you if you do it with me.
Give me 10 minutes of alone time with my own body. And you know what that means? That's the code word for MAS.
I know what you mean.
You know, MAS. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Little touch. Love time for ad. Love on love. Mm-hmm. Love on my own skin.
Right.
Because then I can say, listen, everybody around me, I got to get my 15 minutes of passion.
Okay.
Adam passion.
Uh-huh.
I would do it. I need those little I think that's healthy.
You're avoiding the question.
Do you want me to do it? Is that what you're asking?
What I'm saying is, if you want to make a change, I've been talking about it. You seem to want to do something about it. 75 hard, starts tomorrow, a gallon of water a day.
You can't just do that.
Why? That's the problem.
What's tomorrow,
There's
though?
always a reason.
I got to eat breakfast.
You can eat breakfast, but you have to be thoughtful about it. I think you have a pretty good diet. I think it's your snacky meals. Anyway, what I'm saying is, you're making an excuse. I just made an excuse because it was my fucking birthday. And I'm like, well, there's going to be cake and ice cream, so I can't do it now. There's always something.
I eat 2,000 calories in a blink of an eye, and I don't realize it.
I know. There's always a reason not to. And I've talked myself out of it. It's March. I was going to start in January. It's March. It was my eye. Then I rolled my ankle, and it was my ankle. I've always got an excuse.
So I'm trying to get now. I'm on a regimen. This is what is the name of this podcast? Get
This
fat.
is Angel.
Get fit?
Yeah. This is listen to us complain about how fat we are.
The beat is
Kind of fit, kind of fat podcast.
I'm consuming creatine and protein every day.
Why?
I think
Protein,
those
yes,
two
but why
together.
creatine?
I did research on creatine. I've been thinking a lot about the way my body feels and how it's sore. I'm starting to stretch every day. I got a massage and she was like, "Damn," not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
So I started researching. Like, do you only take that do you say creatine or creatine?
I say 10.
Creatine when you are working out? The answer is yes and no. You can take it just to take it. As you get older, it's good for brain function.
Mhm.
It puts that whatever that I believe it's a type of acid in your muscles
Okay.
that it uses when it needs. So it's good to just be taking it. There is scientific research behind it. That and protein seem to be the two best things for an aging male adult.
We probably both have low testosterone.
So I don't know, because there's a lot of times I want to
shit we
like
have in our bodies
rip
from over the
people's
years.
face off. I feel like,
that's not
and then I like to
bust nuts.
bust nuts. So I don't know, like
Hey, listen, you know what? I'm removing all of the handcuffs on this motherfucker. We're just letting it rip.
so I don't know what you want me to say.
Did you hear the ads for the last podcast?
Yeah.
I realized I had all these advertisements that I made from old podcasts ago, and I'm like, these are good.
Yeah.
So anyway, just say whatever you want. Bust nuts, busting nuts, buster nuts,
Buster,
whatever. Man.
whatever.
Who cares?
So
Blowing
that's
loads.
I don't necessarily. I'm sure you could always take in more testosterone, but here's where I feel like you can give yourself more testosterone. Listen to heavy metal, and I mean fucking crazy heavy metal. So I said to you the other day, I only want to listen. My music, when I do this podcast, I only want to be Thy Art is Murder, or what was the other band? So Thy Art is Murder. I was also listening to
songs.
Upon a Burning Body. Listen to the heaviest metal you can listen to, Jack Off, and Hunt. And I think you'll gain testosterone.
Man, that is.
You will watch your
I know what I'm doing on
estrogen man tits disappear.
I know what I'm doing on my sabbatical. I think I'm going to take my sabbatical starting in like this third week of October for the rest of the year.
We should do a question and answer like live. Come on, everybody, come join us, and let's all meet at the Michigan Roadshow, and you can ask me 20 questions, and I'll tell you that.
Did you buy your ticket yet?
I was going to ask you if you're going.
I just bought mine today.
Oh, thanks for texting me. Did you buy one?
I just bought one.
No kids.
No, the kids go for free, but I don't want to take them this year.
Oh, okay.
They were more than enough last year.
It didn't allow me to fully be there.
Right. So
I
don't plan on taking Waylon this year.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that today.
They just became available today or yesterday.
I saw that this morning,
Yep.
so I would like to buy my ticket. It's not that far away, actually, this year.
Yeah, it's less far.
Closer to our hunting property.
I tried
actually.
to get it here. Like I literally,
I
volunteered my barn and the house and the yard, and they didn't take me up on it, which is fine.
They might in the future.
Fine. They might in the future.
They
It's
might circle
available.
back.
So we did not record together so that we could talk about how fucking fat we are. But
Well, we're all in the same
but I
boat
feel
out
you,
there.
dog, and I am willing to start 75 hard with you tomorrow if you will make a commitment today to me. So you just let me know.
I'll research it tonight and let you know by midnight.
Okay. We're going to talk about the trail camera ban that Kansas just enforced. So I'm sure if you're in the hunting community, you are well aware that the Kansas board that governs the wildlife regulations just voted unanimously last week. I believe it was either the 8th or the 9th, that the use of all trail cameras, cellular and regular static cameras, are not to be used on any form of public land, so state-owned or public-private, which is the walk-in hunting areas, which is what I hunted last year. So I will say that I did bring my cellular cameras with me last year. I did deploy them, and they did not do me any good. I was not there long enough. I should have gone out in the summertime to use them and scout. I didn't. But in my opinion, it was I have a very limited amount of time. I want to set these up where I think there's activity and then continue to look elsewhere so that those could be my other set of eyes. Because there's only it was just me out there. And so in that process, I found other walk-in hunting areas where people had deployed spy point cameras and left them.
So instead of
to soak.
deploy, could you just say put them on a tree?
Yeah, but they deployed them from their arsenal. Adam was making fun of me for the words that I used.
Well, it's like you're on a military mission.
They sort of were. They were doing reconnaissance.
Sort of not.
So anyway, I saw them, and I was turned off to hunting that area. Should I have been? I have no idea.
So they marked their territory.
It was like marking their territory, and I think I understand
you
the
should have
argument.
stood in front of every camera. Just like I do. Lift up your shirt.
I never. If I see a camera, I never go in front of it unless it's too late. Like if I'm already in front of it, I'll wave. But if I see it, I will go around it. I don't want anybody to see me. So that part of me understands, hey, this is public land. Anybody can be out here. I get this privacy thing that people are concerned with. I get it. I totally get it. But also,
so notch one. This is my one point now, and then you're gonna continue talking. It affected where you hunt. Continue.
Yes, the use of
not your cameras, but these cameras affected where you hunt in that situation. Okay,
yes.
Move on.
And I think that's what happens is people use them to stake claim in an area. Same thing with putting up your stands and leaving it. Like if you put up your stands and leave it on public land, you are running the risk of someone stealing it because there's no guarantee that people are going to be honest. And second of all, it's like you're saying, this is mine. You can't hunt here. Which the fact of the matter is, I could set up in the tree next to you. There's no regulations. I just have to deal with you if you walk out there. So putting your cameras out on public land is a way of staking your claim in that area. Whether you want it to seem like that or not, when I put mine out, it never crossed my mind. But I realized that it probably did that. Once I saw other people's cameras and was able to realize what I felt inside when I saw them, I realized what would happen if someone saw mine. And so I get the privacy aspect of it. But in the same sense, I was listening to someone yesterday say, you can't stop evolution. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Yep. That there's going to be something else.
There's always going to be something else. And you've just got to figure out a way to either accept it or regulate it. Now, they've eliminated it. But how do you regulate it is my question. How would you
feel
regulate
like
this?
I'm in this mental part of my life with hunting, and I know I'm newer into it, where I would actually like to go backwards. Even comparing my first year to my third year.
Yeah.
Anything that affects my decision on where I'm going to hunt in those woods.
Yeah.
I don't love that. I'm realizing I don't love it. And here's why. I mean, if you really, I guess I could talk for a while on this, but I realized too many different times that I wasn't hunting. The camera is only seeing X amount of let's say you're hunting 100 acres. And I would say to you, God, we only see even with all the cameras we had, we're only seeing 1% of the land we're hunting. Okay, we could even bump that up, maybe 8%, 7%. What about the other 93% of our property that we don't hunt because we are looking at camera action? So the camera, and then to know that I shot a deer and that deer traveled across the entire property and never hit a single camera.
Yep, exactly.
So I can tell you right there that I made too many decisions this last year because of cameras. And it was my first year paying attention to cameras. And I erred in the woods, hunting, live action, trying to look at a camera picture and having a buck in front of me. And in my mind, this is not to offend anyone or offend you. I guess I don't care. Going back to as natural, woodsy hunting as you possibly can is what I personally want to do. I want to learn the woods by see, feel, touch, sight, my own personal senses, and now no technology. And I want to pick
zero. Like, are you willing to leave your phone in the car?
I thought about that today when I was in the. So
I was just thinking about it right now.
So I thought about it when I was sitting in the
sauna
before the show. When I was getting to the property, I was turning off Wi-Fi. I was making sure my Wi-Fi, my Bluetooth, that nothing was connected in case it was picking up some sort of wavelength, and a deer. In my mind, those animals might be able to. We'll never know because we're not deer, and you can do all the scientific research you want, but you're not a fucking animal, and you can't figure out what they're doing unless you're that fucking animal. So stop trying to figure it out, and let's just go on with as natural as possible. But anyways, I was turning all that off, and I know that there is still a cellular part to my phone that is constantly sucking in wavelengths.
Looking for the closest antenna.
Correct.
And then getting feedback. Yes.
So I am not, unless your phone is off or not with you. Even when it's on, I still feel like it's collecting.
Even when it's off.
Yeah, so I thought about that in the woods. Maybe not. The only downfall there is our communication when something happens, or if, let's say, something bad happens or something good happens, no one else is going to know. So I don't know if there's a way around that.
We would know.
Walkie-talkies.
We would know when you don't show back up at the barn at the end of the day.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thought. But if I can if we're going to talk cameras is the one thing where I can literally look at a picture of the deer on our property, looking directly at the camera, seeing it, noticing that it's there, walking up to it and getting their face right into it, and studying what it is, and knowing that is not a natural thing that is there. Is that affecting our hunting down there? I think we have a lot of action.
We do have a lot of action.
It affected where I hunted too much.
It affected me, and I was conscious of it more than ever this year, and I did not like it, and I don't like it right now.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's great to be able to see what's going on, but I don't know if I personally have enough self-control to shut that off, to allow myself to say, I'm going to sit somewhere totally different, even though I have no idea what's going on.
How do you feel about the government having a say in what you do at all?
Well, I don't think the government... I don't think they should have a say in anything I do.
So how do you feel about the
I understand
Kansas...
laws, like murdering somebody.
I mean, yeah, but okay, so that's a morality question.
But on your own land, I guess if you want to put up
They're not saying anything about private. It's just public in Kansas.
Okay. So
you can bait in Kansas on private land, but you can't on public. Cannot.
I guess so. That's Then who owns? So if it's public land, I guess them having a say in it isn't really up to me.
What I'm saying is, don't you? Yeah, but okay. The tax dollars that you spent to buy that tag in Kansas goes to the government agency that just told you can't do this.
The DNR.
Yeah, the Kansas Department of Wildlife and whatever. Okay. So,
but I have a different respect for that section than I would other aspects of the government limiting my life.
Okay. I understand. I don't disagree with you. You did not hunt back during this time, but when I first started hunting, there were no cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. When I first started hunting, there were cell phones.
Like Nextels?
But where we went hunting, where we went hunting up at the Wyandotte Lodge, there was no service.
Right.
There was no map. There was no digital maps. There was physical maps that you could keep in your truck. We didn't have a way to communicate with each other. It was, there was no map to look at when you're walking in the pitch black in the morning. When I think about that right now, I could almost barely believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I can almost hardly believe that at 21, 22, 23 years old, I would go up and consciously choose to go in the woods completely blind in the pitch black, find a straight tree to climb with my climber with no safety harnesses because it wasn't a thing back then, and bow hunt. I can't believe we did that. And I was by myself. I didn't hunt with Head and Nate every time. Like, they were there, but we weren't always together. Sometimes I was by myself in a different part of the state forest.
So I feel like you're getting into this whole. You're describing part of what's wrong with the world today.
So agreed.
So
with
everything,
why can't I let it go now? Because I know how good it is.
Well,
how cool it is.
But it's not that so I think about something like a safety harness, and I think that's great.
Oh, I agree with that. I'm talking about the maps, my willingness to do something blind, my obsession with looking at deer pictures. Like, that didn't exist back then.
Yeah, I guess I haven't fallen enough in that hole to be addicted to it all. I just don't love it. I've tried to look at like different like maps and topography maps, and I think a big problem in the world itself with kids growing up, and nobody is in touch with the outdoors like they were back in the day. Now, maybe some older like generations are.
Yeah.
But the newer generations know nothing about going into the woods and just becoming one with those woods. And I think if you can, for me, I would love to get to a point where I'm hunting successfully one with nature, where I thought when I texted you about the cameras, I said something like, how often did you sit on the south of our property this year?
Exactly.
We were not hunting the south property because we just didn't think there were deer down there.
We weren't seeing deer on the cameras.
On whatever cameras were around there. So I feel like the majority of this year I hunted the north side of our property, sometimes the middle. But the deer are there.
Right.
And so I think the majority of technology negatively affects a human, period.
So I have a question for you. Considering our advanced age, are you willing?
So stop. So real quickly, I see technology now as not something that's helping people. I see it as something that is being used to control people.
It is. I agree with that.
So
but I have a question, and it's not related to that at all. So my question is this: if you or we, let's just say hypothetically, trail cameras did not exist. Let's say hypothetically, electronic maps like HuntStand and Onyx and all these other things that people have on their phones did not exist. But you wanted to go hunt a new area, but you only had 4 days. Today, what would Adam, I want you to tell me right now, what would Adam do on a limited time to learn quickly where to hunt and how to find the deer? How do you do it?
Where to hunt?
Yeah. How do
like where to even start?
Where to even start? How would you know with no maps?
So if I go hunt somewhere new, are you talking about a different state or?
Let's just say you wanted to hunt in Michigan, but you wanted to hunt the Shiawassee National Forest, and you had no electronic maps and no trail cameras, and you don't know anybody that's ever been there.
So you have to use a paper map.
You have to go get a paper map.
You have to actually learn logistics of a paper map. Well, I would imagine you're learning longitude, latitude. You're learning property lines from a paper map and how to.
There'll be topography on there as well. How to read topography lines.
The biggest thing for me there is property lines. Like, if I knew the property lines, for me, I would go into a property that I don't know, and I would find water, and I would find a bedding area that looks a lot like the swamp on the north property that we talked about previous.
Okay, so you have 4 days.
Okay, I would walk right in, and I wouldn't be looking.
Day one.
I would not be looking for runs or tree stands or sheds or any fucking thing. I would look for a swampy, watery area, and I would look for an area that I would consider to be bedding. Where if Fat Adam was tired, I would lay down.
Okay, so on the morning of your first day, are you taking your stuff with you into the woods, or are you just going to walk around and look?
To hunt.
Yeah. Are you going to take your stuff to hunt or just to scout?
I feel like if you were to be living back in the day where you were only back there to get food to feed your family because you lived in a tent in
That's not what I'm talking
in the middle of nature, you would always be hunting. You would be living every moment of your life hunting.
I'm talking about right now. In 2023.
So this is my thought.
Okay.
I would always be ready to hunt.
Okay, so you would have your stuff with you.
But I would be scouting.
Okay. Got it.
It's just like when I'm done hunting our property in Hillsdale, I'm done hunting, but when I'm walking in, I'm always ready in case something happens. And if I have a half an hour and I have to pause and hide and just wait, I'm ready.
Let me ask you another part of that question. Let's say you find what you believe to be a good spot. Let's say you find water, bedding, and some acorn trees that have started dropping. Are you looking for rubs or scrapes or anything like that at that point?
Yeah.
To tell you that there's a big buck in the area?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So let's say you set up to hunt that big buck that looks like he's been there, but you don't see him on the first day. But you know he's been there. You see fresh, steaming piles of doo-doo.
So I said this to you one of my first...
How are you going to remember how to get back there?
Oh, I got you. You threw a little wet towel over me there, chocolate boy.
So your first day is done. You scouted. You found a great spot.
And that's interesting because...
You have to leave now.
Yeah.
How are you getting out? And how are you going to remember how to get back there?
It's interesting because I have practiced on our own property being able to go where I want to in the dark.
You're pretty good on our own property.
Right. So thinking about going somewhere new. Well, I don't know. Do you have to go back to looking at the sky?
I'm asking you.
Is it dark?
What
is it
Adam
light?
do?
I think it doesn't matter. No matter what, you have no fucking clue where you're going.
When you go in, okay, so let's just say there's no clouds in the sky. Last light, you can still see. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's say there's no deer around you. It's last light. You can't shoot anymore.
You're going to have to track yourself on a paper map.
You've got to cut. Okay. How? You carrying a pen and marking little things?
No.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just asking, what are you doing?
No.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where if you could figure out, like, if I could guarantee that my phone, like, somehow wasn't collecting a cellular, some sort of cellular zippy zaps, I'm all for it. Like, go ahead, have a map on your phone.
Okay. You're completely avoiding what I'm asking you.
What do you ask? What's the question? What's the fucking question?
None of that stuff exists. How are you getting out?
Oh, so that is not a... Okay.
Those don't exist anymore.
I remember the way I walked in.
Okay.
So that happened to me this year on our own property.
Interesting. Explain.
I got lost, and
when you were tracking?
When I was going into the property, I got lost, and I had to circle around a few times and figure out how I was going to collect my thoughts and find a way to where I needed to go.
Interesting.
So, but luckily enough, there was snow on the ground, and I was able to locate everywhere my footprints were.
Good. Okay.
And then I was able to ping it off of, okay, here's where I circled the wrong direction, then fix that. But somehow, I don't see why you couldn't do tacks exist? Can you tack trees?
Yes, tacks exist.
So why not tack trees? And then if you don't feel like it's proper to leave those in, if you're doing public, take them out.
Yeah.
On your way in.
I think there's something to be said about already just knowing inherently that my electronics are not going to save me. So you don't have this self-reliance on that stuff. You know in your brain, I don't have anything else. So what happens is I think you start paying attention to the woods, and you notice things that you pick up on. So hey, there's tumor tree. You know, that tree that's got a weird growth on it. I'm going to turn there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you start picking up on that stuff. People, you can break branches. You know what I'm saying? Like, you break a branch and just let it hang down, and then you just follow your broken branches. So I think, like you said, technology has made us soft, and we forgot how to just go out there and figure it out.
And I
agree with that.
So it's like, this is a comparison for me that
I'm guilty of it.
Like, if you are 10 years old and you still piss the bed and wear pull-ups, you're always going to, because you just know that that's there.
Right.
If you strip away the pull-up, you're eventually you're gonna get used to not pissing in your bed. Does that make sense to what I just said?
Yes.
My comparison?
Yeah.
So
I do hard things.
I think if you took it all away, you would figure it out.
Right.
And you would be much more you would be more knowledgeable and better with the woods than you were with the safety blanket of a phone and a GPS and all that shit.
So this all started with a question. And the question was, you have 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to burn your days learning? Let's say it takes you 2 days to find a spot to
If I have
sit.
4 days, I'm going on gut. I'm walking in there. I'm looking for wherever, and I'm going to hunt if I feel it. And if it doesn't work out, then I failed with my gut that day, and I will either continue to try and find the exact same spot, or I will walk back in and I'm like you always say, I'm not murdering. It's not killing. I'm hunting.
You're hunting.
I'm just going in there, and I have limited time, so I'm just gonna make it work.
I did it last year. I did it in Illinois. I hunt, I scout, I got up at 3:00 in the morning and I drove to this state land that I had no history on whatsoever. I just knew that there was probably deer here. That I never saw anybody there. I walked all around this one part of the property in the morning, and I thought, there's no fucking way there's deer out here. If I'm going to hunt this afternoon, I got to go to another part of this park. And I followed tracks in the snow to where I thought was a funnel into the woods, and a deer ran right into my lap. But it was just, I went off of my gut instinct. My gut instinct said, this appears to be a low point where it's just kind of naturally funneling these deer. And it worked. So there's something to be said about your gut too. But your gut is telling you something based on information that you know from your experiences standing in the woods.
Not necessarily. It could
learning.
be a feeling I get when I'm standing somewhere.
Yeah, but it's how your senses are digesting what it's
So
seeing.
I would be eliminating looking for small things like rubs and runs, actually,
Really?
and I would be looking for larger things like swamps or little water valleys, peaks, larger land things, like the
Pinch
North
points?
Swamp is. When I look at that, I'm like, fuck this. The North Swamp where my deer
Ran through.
was bedded down, dying.
Yeah.
When you look at that, to me, that's a giant area of land where you just, to me, my gut says deer are in here.
You can lay down in there and never be seen.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like and this, I'm not kidding when I say if I can go in there and feel comfortable trying to imagine being an animal that has to live out here, then I think that's where the deer would go.
Yeah. There's something to be said about that sixth sense that
If I had
comes
more
with
time, yeah, and if I had more time, I would look for runs and rubs and scrapes and all that shit. But if I only had 4 days and I wanted to maximize my hunting for that 4 days, I would walk in with a gut feel and be looking for those larger signs to me, like the water, the bedding, valleys.
Let me put a twist on it. Does the time of year that you're hunting affect what you just told me? Does hunting October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th change your approach to the same hunting area than it does November 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th? So
November 5th, 6th. So the opening day
or
to the rut.
First 4 days or the rut?
Not real. I think if you can sort of perfect your gut feel and what you can learn naturally in the off moments, they will be good in the on moments.
You would hunt the same. You would scout the same in early season as you would the rut.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to realize in my head I'm imagining doing this all on the 90 acres I know or whatever.
I want you to do it on state land, unknown state land. First time. Okay. Let's say I bring you to Illinois this year. It's state ground that I'm familiar with, but you've never seen it before. You've got 4 days, either the first 4 days of the season or 4 days during the rut. Do you scout it the same when you know bucks are chasing does or when they're still on a bed to food pattern? Do you still scout it the same?
I think they have to sleep and they have to eat, and then every once in a while they fuck. So if you can get to where they sleep and eat, it's going to happen. That's always going to be, in my mind, as a beginner. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert, but this is the way I think. That if you could get that, and here's the other thing, I think that we are trying to find an exact science of where a deer is traveling, and I may have a spot where deer go all the time, and I could sit there all year long and watch them 200 yards away.
It happens every year.
So I don't think, in my mind, what I'm trying to do is realize that I'm not sure I will ever perfectly know where deer are going to be. So I'm not going to try to perfect that. I'm just going to try to be the best I can at figuring out the woods that I'm going to hunt and how I feel and whatever sort of larger sign I can see. and just roll with it.
Okay, so now my final part of the same series of questions is, with that information, does that make you want to be more mobile?
100%. I felt that way this year.
Yeah. Because imagine that first morning, you're like, fuck, they're 80 yards off, and I'm just that close. And yeah, this looks like a nice watering hole, but they're actually, I can see them hitting a watering hole that I never saw. As you're sitting up there 15 feet in the air, you can see them. Oh man, there's a pond over there I didn't even see. That light bulb moment where you're like, I need to cut them off, but you don't want to have to tear down your climbing sticks and tear down this or have a climber and be like, well, I got to find a tree with no branches.
Mm-hmm.
Like that seals the deal for you right there. Idea that you could move.
I would never use
yards.
a climber at this point. I just because of that, I can't focus on finding a tree that has no branches.
It was all we used to do.
I know.
It was crazy.
I'm also it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not looking to get X amount of feet off the ground. I'm okay being low. I'm okay being high.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to ground stalk.
Mm-hmm.
I like to get the L in there.
Yeah.
Ground stalk better.
Mm-hmm.
I got very close to a doe this year, walking towards her and staying behind trees. It was just snowy, and I stepped on a branch at the last moment. I was not very far from being able to shoot at her.
Yeah.
She was in the edge of a field, and she was very alert, but just didn't notice me. And I was getting closer and closer, and then she ran off, and I thought it'd be really cool to get to the point where I could move around and when I see him in the distance and somehow stay
that's fucking hunting right there.
be able to hunt.
That is hunting.
Which I think that would take I think you have to become more like the animals than more like a technologically
you have to
human.
really read their body cues, and you have to be really paying attention to the wind and the noises,
it's
cover noises.
It's the noise. I don't like that was close to the busy road.
Yeah.
So I know when cars are moving, I can
Yeah.
take a couple steps.
It can't be a
It
calm
can't be
day.
calm. Now that being said, there are some areas where you can walk on pine needles, and those are quieter.
Yeah.
But just knowing, like I know when I'm in the middle of the woods, I'm gonna step on something.
Yeah.
And I'm a fat daddy, so. But to be able to walk somewhere on the fly and get somewhere to where you're, if you ever look at like a sniper that is able to lay on the ground in the weeds and you have no fucking clue they're there, why am I not using that hunting? Why am I not laying on the ground? Like, this is gun, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you're going to hunt gun, why do I not get to the point where I can go somewhere where I know there's going to be deer, lay on the ground, and let them know that I'm completely hidden and never have to move and just shoot?
You can. You just have to practice it.
But I'm too worried about where I see them on camera and putting a stand there, and I don't know.
I think I said it in another podcast. I'm going to use my cameras. I mean, I've got 5 cameras in Illinois right now, and I don't feel bad about it. I'm not. I want to know what's out there. I want to know what's running around. I've grabbed some good sheds. I think there's deer. I think there's bucks. I think there's shooters out there. I want to see it. I want to see if what I saw the last couple weekends. I want to see if I'm right.
So then I think you need like 1,000 cameras in a small area.
Well, it's fine.
You get what I'm saying, though?
Yeah, oh yeah. But what I'm saying is I don't feel bad about them being there. I'm going to leave them there as long as I possibly can. I put brand new batteries in them, and I don't plan on going back until it's hunting season. The cameras here in Michigan, we have way more. And if I can get another piece of property, I might put a couple out just to see what's out there.
So I also believe that you are going back on the property too much just to change batteries.
100%. Absolutely. And I think I'm probably going to delete all of my camera apps from my phone when season starts.
Mm-hmm.
My plan is to have an inventory of what's out there. And I know that some people will probably say, well, that's defeating the purpose, but I don't care. This is my baby steps. My baby steps are I'm going to get an inventory of what's out there, and then I'm going to delete my apps when the season starts, and I'm going to hunt off of what I see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And I'm going to see if I can do it. That's my those are my goals for the year.
So I like the idea that, and I didn't hunt it very much, but I had moved my tent twice this year. One of them was based on a location I thought was going to be decent, and I think it was, and for some reason I never hunted it. I think because we never saw bucks back there on camera. It was just doe. And then I moved it on a spot I just felt again. And I like that now. I think that is in a really good spot, but it's like, from what I've learned just by being back walking, and I tracked around there quite a bit, that 10 to 15 yards, 10 yards in a couple different directions puts that tent in an awesome spot.
I think so. I agree.
So I don't know what my point was, but that's great.
I don't either. We were talking about trail camera use.
Yeah. Well, it was just learning that my tent. The point was my tent. I moved it to a certain spot based on feel, and that without using cameras, I've learned that I think it's in a really good spot, close to, and needs to be moved there
By looking at existing sign.
Yeah, and just walking around while I'm there and learning what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess I also have a question for anybody. Does anybody respond? So
No.
I'm gonna. Well, I use the a thumb release.
Yeah.
On my bow, and you and I both ran into this year. Mine was because I'm overweight. I was following some deer that were running at me, and I was in a stand that was in between like 4 or so trees, and I had turned, and I was between a real tight couple, one lane, and when they started running, I'm like, shit, I've got to switch over, so I had to like tip my bow back, and I keep my thumb release clipped on to the loop, and it's kind of noisy. But I don't want to hold it because I don't want to drop it. So anyways, I leaned way back and got my bow up, and I got it around the tree that was right next to me, and so I had another opening to shoot at. But while I did that, my thumb release got snagged on my fat belly coat part of it and dropped down to the ground. So now I've got all these deer running at me that I was thinking about possibly shooting at, and I have no thumb release. Or, my release is gone.
Didn't you tell me you thought you were going to try and learn how to shoot that bow with
so
no
I
release?
did, yeah. So, I mean, I can pull. Obviously, you can shoot it with just your fingers. And I was ready to do that at that moment. But I practiced here. It's just not as accurate.
No.
It's definitely throws your string off.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I still hit the target, but it was not even, like, remotely as accurate as using a release. So,
yeah.
I know I said I'm going to get a second release that I have with me out there, but my main question is, for anybody that uses a release like that, where do they keep it on their loop? Is it called a D-loop?
Mm-hmm.
Do they keep it on the loop at all times? Mine is hanging there, ready to go.
Lots of people do.
But mine kind of rattles,
Yeah.
Like we had to tighten it. I was having issues with mine in practice last summer to where I bought a thumb release, and it was actually I bought 2 of the same kind, and they were cheaper, and I was like half draw, and it was releasing.
Yeah.
And then I got scared. So then I was very it took me a long time to get used to pulling that back and not feeling like it was going to just snap out of my release at any time.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a nicer one. I think it's like a True Fire. And you and I, you can kind of tighten the hold on it, and you and I did that, and whatever we did makes it rattle a little bit. So I don't love necessarily having it hanging on my loop.
Yeah.
But what else would you do? Do you just have it in your pocket? Do you hold it in your hand? Do you put a string around it?
I was watching a guy take some shots on Instagram, and he's got like a piece of paracord around his wrist,
mm-hmm.
and it's attached to he has a hinge release, which is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is he keeps it on his wrist all the time.
Yeah, so you just grab it and you connect it as you're about to shoot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is the way my old wrist releases used
to
be.
So because I feel like mine is throwing off my peep sight.
But
every
because
time
it hangs on there?
That's so when I'm about to shoot at something, one of the first things I have to do is
you need your bow tuned.
Which I did that before last
you need
season.
It tuned again. I do too.
So now I have to twist my peep sight. So that, because now if I don't twist my peep sight, I pull it back, or peep. I don't know. I keep calling it peep sight. It makes me horny. So, but if I pull it back, it's like it's not perfect. So when my holes aren't aligning.
You probably need new strings because that has factory strings on it. You need some new strings from America's Best Bow Strings. They are not sponsors of the show. They're just telling you they're nice. They're good stuff. And you need to have them put on, and you need to have it tuned, and you'll be good to go for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's hanging. I don't think it's because it's hanging on there.
Well, the guy at Brown's up here said I wouldn't keep your releases connected to your string.
And what the guys at Sunrise say?
I don't think I don't. They all do.
He goes. Everybody does.
Yeah. But they also tried to sell me, like, no, I know that this is what they do, but I was like, I need to get a thumb release, and they took me right over to, like, the $300 ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no,
not me. Not for
this
me,
is
boys.
not, like, I think you could look at me and be like, he's a $70 release guy. Yeah, I'm more of a $20 release guy, but I've learned my lesson there. Don't buy the $20 releases.
Right. We were talking in the very beginning about our general overall health and well-being. Do you feel like being in shape plays a big role in how you hunt? Like, does it matter to you?
I imagined walking through the woods was a good workout for me.
Yeah.
And I'm learning at my age now that it's not enough.
It's not enough. So
to me, the things that are more important for me are comfort in my clothing and my feet. I think I'm in good enough shape to be able to walk through the woods. I can, what we hunt, I can drag a deer out. I know I haven't done what you had to do, but, yes, being in better shape is going to help. But for me this year, it's all about, my feet were fucked because of the boots I was wearing. And I couldn't, at first I'm like, man, is it just because I'm on my feet all the time? I'm getting old, I'm fat. But I think it was those big ass rubber boots that I was wearing every day and walking and hiking through the woods all the time.
I agree 100%.
So,
and I have such a hard time spending a couple $100 on boots, but they're a couple $100 for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the one thing where I'm good on my clothing. I don't need any more clothes. The boots, man. I bought cheap boots again, and they're fine. Like, they keep me dry, and they're moderately warm with my electric socks, but hiking in them doesn't cut it. And I wore my steel toe boots this past Sunday when I was hiking around. My fucking feet are killing me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're not meant for hiking in.
Yeah.
And it's you gotta buy. I agree, man. It's my feet. My feet will fuck me up.
And so going into this year as well, we've always hunted a morning shift and a night shift, an evening shift. And then I started to get frustrated.
I don't like that you call them shifts.
We had a morning hunt and an evening hunt, afternoon hunt. And then I would drive around during the middle of the day and get something to eat. And I'd drive around the property and I'd see deer everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck? They're all out right now. So I was going to talk to you guys this year and really assess what you think about the timing. Like, are we missing a bunch of action from 11 to 3 when we're not hunting?
I don't think it's that simple of an answer.
So that tells me right there, then why don't we hunt in the middle of the day as much? Like, even if you took an hour off after the morning and then went right back out there.
There is a ton of people who say that the big bucks cruise middle of the day.
Mm-hmm. I would on our property because nobody fucking hunting in the middle of the day.
Our problem is our access. And we've said it before, and I'm saying it again. Our access in and out of the woods the same fucking way every fucking time pushes those deer out of the woods. First of all, after the first couple of weeks, they watch us pull in and they don't even come in.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, if we're coming out at 10 and we're bumping them off the other properties, they're not coming to our property.
Right.
They're going elsewhere because we're using the same access every single time. Our problem is access.
Yeah, I mean,
100%.
I would say the majority of my walk-ins and outs of the property this year, what means more right now is walking in for a sit. I was bumping deer every single time.
Yeah.
And then in my mind, it's very deflating because I'm like, those deer are never coming back.
So I started hunting that property with Head and Nate, and I love them both. And they've always said, we bump deer all the time. They'll come back. Or they might leave, but another deer will come in here. And while that may be true, what if the good deer don't? What if the biggest bucks don't? What if the bucks that we all want to shoot, those mature 3, 4, 5-year-old bucks that we never see on the hoof, don't come back because we bump deer off the property? I agree. We bump deer and the does come back and the fawns come back, and every so often a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old buck might cruise through there. But are we bumping the mature bucks off the property? And my answer is yes.
Well, I'm never looking. I'm looking for 8s constantly.
I
don't
points?
ever expect a 10 to walk in on me on our property.
They're down there.
I know they're down there, but all
We're
I'm
bumping
seeing
them
is
off.
these young ones, and then if I'm really just hoping to see an 8 to shoot.
We're bumping the big bucks.
So unfortunately, I
It's
feel
our
like I'm
fault.
just hunting 8s.
Yeah, we can control that, but we have to. It's just going to be harder.
Well, that's fine.
So I think we need to put a game plan together and we need to stick to it. Like I said, we need to print a map off, and we need to create access via the map and then stick to it and not get lazy. I think more importantly than changing in the barn, like change at the camper and drive in your truck to the property. Who cares? Don't change at the barn.
Right.
Park by the road and do not open the slider.
I'm fine with that because that's when I start to get freezing ass cold anyways.
That's what
when I
fucks
strip
us.
down in
And
the barn.
I don't care what Head or Nate says. I will leg wrestle them to completion. That's the problem. Yes, we shoot bucks down there. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Girth Brooks disappeared. We saw Rick Mahorn one time and Nate killed him. Like, there's big 10 points that disappear or get shot on the neighboring properties because we're bumping them off. They're there all summer long. We bump them off September, October, November, and they don't come back because they're either dead or they went somewhere else where they're not getting pushed around. That's my opinion. I think at our advanced age, health and fitness needs to become more of a priority for us both because I hurt everywhere. Like, I'm sore everywhere.
Well,
my
me
feet
too.
hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, my hips hurt because I sit in this fucking chair all day long.
See, and mine's the opposite. Mine's because
Yeah.
I don't.
You're standing all day.
Like today, I was like, I need to go lay on the floor for 5 fucking minutes.
And I just feel like I'm melting. I feel like my back is curling because I'm either in my truck driving 8 hours to fucking Wisconsin or I'm sitting at my desk like a fucking
But
loser.
I don't understand those people sit at a fucking computer at a desk every day,
I can't,
all day.
It kills me.
What is wrong with me that I can't? So what am I doing wrong? Something.
I don't know, man. I think we had a really good conversation about cellular cameras.
Yeah, I hope I got my point across.
You got your point across.
My long story long, I am okay without cameras.
I am too.
I don't actually would prefer that there isn't even a single camera on the property I hunt.
I'm indifferent.
No offense.
I am going to use my cameras because I have them. And if someone tells me I can't have them anymore, I'm going to be annoyed that I spent so much money on them. But I'm also not going to be mad if
Let me
if
tell
I
you what
can't
I'd
use
rather somebody tell somebody they can't do.
What's that?
Shoot fucking baby bucks.
them. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to put that out there so y'all can milk that goat.
Milk that goat.
I just don't think there should be something it's my opinion, and I think it should be everybody's opinion. I'm going to go ahead and put that out there too. Y'all should think the same way. We need to stop shooting young bucks. Let the fuckers grow.
What if it's a kid?
I don't care.
What if it's a kid and he's just trying to get him into the sport?
I was thinking about this. There's going to be the slip up. There's going to be the I thought it was a doe and it was a what do they call Sputnik?
Yep.
A baby Sputnik.
That's it. That's it. You nailed it.
I get it. A little kid
A Sputnik
may
buck.
but the dudes that are going
Is he a
hunting.
little kid in Asia?
No, little kids in Asia. I don't think they're hunting eels, baby. I'm just saying, don't go out in the woods and look to shoot the spike he walks right up to you and sticks his head in your tent. I've seen it happen.
Happens all the time.
It's like, I think I even said this before. Like it's a dumb. Like I have a daughter, She's crazy, but she's extremely intelligent. I have a son. He's older. He's intelligent, but he's kind of like the one he's the young buck that will walk up to you and be like, stick his head in your tent.
Got candy in that van?
So I think the male deer, the young male deers, need to stop being fucking shot. Let them grow. Period.
End the story.
That's not even an opinion. I'm telling you, stop shooting young deer. Thank you.
It is an opinion.
I'm not hunting your land, whoever's listening to this. So it doesn't fucking affect me, but it'll be great for you if you and everybody around you stop shooting the little deer so you all can shoot bigger deer and feel way better about yourself.
There are people that would say we shoot little deer.
That's fine, but we at least have our gentleman rule of nothing. That's an 8 or more or 700 pounds or more.
Yeah, but 700 pounds. Anyway, I agree.
But everybody has to battle this out like, oh, it's okay. Have fun hunting and shoot whatever. I say draw the fucking line somewhere and put some pants on and stop shooting little kids.
This is what Adam was saying in the very beginning when he said, I'm going to get on here and offend
Because
some people. It's this.
Well, I'm not even going to ask you because I'm not sucking anybody's toes. Like, just stop.
I didn't say anything.
So use your cameras all you want, but stop shooting a fucking spike or a 4-point and thinking you're fucking God's gift to hunting.
So hold on a second. This podcast just got longer. You would be willing to accept trail camera use for the restriction on the size of buck you shoot?
100%. My biggest thing is that
you would rather have the government tell you the size of deer you can shoot than the method by which you achieved shooting that deer?
You just don't change the wording. Let's talk about cameras.
Yeah, you use that camera to stalk a deer, and then you killed it.
I think the camera's hurting you more than it's helping you, so sure.
Okay.
If you want to use a camera, that's fine, but I think you're missing out on 90% of the property.
Okay. There's a whole group of people that think that big mature deer, recognize cameras, them being that doesn't belong here, and they avoid the area. So you're probably right. I don't know. We get big deer on camera. But I'm not saying that at some point they don't start avoiding that, right?
But just fucking, I've watched these young deer and then have an older deer right next to it, and the actions by both are so dramatically different that if you want to just go kill an animal, then go shoot the young deer and be awesome. I hope you feel great about yourself. Because now Carl, who hunts like a fucking man down the street, is only going to have little babies come in and never a mature adult 10 because you guys don't let them grow.
People say that's what happened. That's what we're doing.
Because we shoot 8s?
They're not big enough.
Well, that's what we have down there. I'm not shooting a 6.
So what they're saying is, if you let that 8 grow, he'll be a 10 next year.
There's only 8s.
No,
where we hunt.
There is not. Look, count how many points are on fucking McMurray right there.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
There's 2 little curlies on the side. He's got 11.
So then we need to get better. What are we going to want to change it to a 10 or more?
The antlers that I found at Burl's, he's a 10.
I respect what you're saying, and I think that's fine.
I'm just saying.
I think 8 is a good line.
I'm just having a back and forth with you. There are people that say the bucks that you shoot at your property, the ones that we hunt on, are not big enough. We should be letting them go. There are people that listen to this podcast that probably feel like our 8 points should have let go. And I'm saying it right now. My buck there's no way he was 3.
But I think we're in a cycle now to where too many people are shooting younger bucks. So if
they're never going to get there,
you're just going to go to the next property and get shot by Timmy.
That is always something that you risk. But the other argument is, if you're not killing the bucks on your property, wouldn't they feel safer on your property?
So possibly. Not,
so
but if they know you're there, they're not
going to go to neighbor Timmy's and get shot.
My thing would be if you're going to have government make a rule. Mm-hmm. That would be what I would say. You make it a rule, and then it's. I'm not asking you that question. Like, then that 8 is going to the next property to get shot.
Would you say it's a point restriction? So an antler point restrictions.
This guy started talking to you at the bar down there in Hillsdale at the hunt club.
Yes,
and he said wherever he used to hunt, the county he hunted in had a regulation that you could not shoot anything that was less than an 8.
Correct.
So, but they got rid of that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that to me.
I'm on board. I'm on board with $1 state and an APR. I'm fine with that.
I just don't like. I can only shoot one turkey.
So, do you buy a combo tag every year to where you could shoot $2?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's not specifically $2. It could be a
But
doe.
you could.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because it's
But do you
affordable
buy it
and
so
it's
that
got
you
2
could
on one
shoot
tag.
Would you shoot $2?
Absolutely.
Okay. Some people would say why.
But if it was 8 or more, I'm probably not. It's going to be very hard to hunt and find 2 large 10s.
You did. Oh well, you shot 2 8s your first year hunting ever.
Correct. Mm-hmm. I also had a young buck that wasn't an 8. Might have been a 6, could have been a 4. I can't remember. But he walked direct, almost to the point where my gun was pointed at him. He could have walked in and sucked it like a dick.
Oh God, come on!
I don't know. I don't need to come
I gotta
on.
cut that out now.
No, you don't. But that's what it looks like. I have it on camera.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have it. I have my gun barrel in the camera, and he just keeps walking closer and closer to me.
Yeah.
I have a feeling most people are going to shoot that deer.
You think so?
Yes.
Interesting.
Unfortunately, I feel like the weight has gone, the balance has gone more to the side of
Shoot everything.
Just shoot whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they think try not to shoot like a spike. But if it's got antlers, knock them dead. You know what I'm saying? It's meat in the
I gotta
freezer.
tell you, man, we got it pretty good. We
Yeah.
live. We are able to hunt in an area where there is no shortage of deer whatsoever. There's some places up north where you go a really long time and you don't see any deer, and I think it's hard for me to put myself in those shoes. It's hard for me to. I mean, I remember hunting like that. I hunted in Crawford County on the state land up there and saw nothing. Mostly, I mean, I very rarely ever saw deer. Very rarely. Nate was shooting Bambis in the backyard of the lodge. Like, very rarely saw deer. And so today, I can't hardly even wrap my head around that. What that would be like, and how I might feel when it's like, well, I never see anything, and this is the only deer that walked in front of me. Like, I can't put myself in those shoes because I don't have to deal with that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, there is a mentality of it's brown. If it's brown, it's down. But we are very blessed to be in an area where there's no shortage of deer whatsoever.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Amen.
And I think we'll always have a bountiful bunch of 8-pointers running around, with the occasional, 10, 12. I don't think there's any real unique, non-typicals down there, but I mean, I think there's plenty of 8s, and I think we really are lucky to be able to hunt down there. That's for sure. You had enough?
Yeah, I wonder, do you think they'll have plates at the road show this year?
Plates?
Yeah, do you remember eating that barbecue sandwich with just no plate?
No.
My hands were a mess. I hope they get plates.
I can ask.
Okay.
I'll find out if they have plates at the road show. So if anybody wants to go to the Mobile Hunter Road Show in Michigan, Uncle Adam and I are going to be there. We can have a leg wrestling contest. We can maybe have a mustache shaving contest.
Mustache rides.
No mustache rides. We can have a dad joke off.
That sounds interesting.
Not a joke.
A joke
because
off.
I said joke off.
We're going to joke off.
Yeah. Anyway, you had enough. Let's get.
But
we're
going to do 75 hard starting tomorrow and be fucking ripped. I'm going to be so light. I'm going to be walking on sunshine.
No one's going to recognize you.
I'm so gassy.
You're going to cut your hair into your facial hair into a chin strap again.
I don't know.
Dale
about that.
D'Antoni,
Maybe.
Riff Raff,
I don't know.
the neon leprechaun, the neon icon. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah,
we
thanks.
will talk to you next time. Bye.
Pop, and it's gonna take a miracle to drive a car this color down Imperial. But ain't trying to see Marsha Clark, punk ass. That was a good place to start. Oh, fuck this chair. Gosh, it's made for a child, petite child. Le petite child, not to be French. Le petite child. Le petite child. Oh, Le petite. Let me hit it from the back. Let me hit it side to side. You know it's time to take a ride, 'cause outside is your mother. Karen? No, that was directed to, not you, just in general, to the listener. All right, pickle pot pie, pickle pot pie, pickle pot pie. Take it to the house, take it to the house. Down south, down south, down south. Outside, back in the grass, back in the grass, back in the ass, back in the ass. Do it, do it, do it till it's hot, 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 hot. Drip it hot. All right. It sounds good. Okay, good. Everything sounds good. Everything sounds good.